Hi folks, on the About page we have this really cool owl carousel. Scrubs through 4 images, or it displays 4 images at a time, scrubbing through one per cycle here. And this one has some unique features because when we hover over the image, we see that we have a member name, we have a description of that member. Up here we have a link, so you can link to this member's web page or their own web page if they have one. Down below we have the light box. So you click that and the picture shows up in a light box they can scroll through. And finally, we also have these 4 social icons. So let's take a look at each of these different elements and I'll show you how to update them. First thing we'll need to start with is the link up at the top. If you have a lot of team members, or you may be part of an organization, a sports team or something like that, and each member in your team has their own web page, their own bio, their own projects, that sort of a thing, we've included a page for you in the template. And it is the About single page. Now, this we've only included one because you're going to have to copy and paste and rename for each team member. Let's say, for example, I have 12 team members. I would make 12 copies of this page, and how I would name them is this. I would copy and paste the About page, and where it says single, I would actually use the person's name. So we're going to call this one About Susie.htm. I'll show you why in a second. We're going to keep it just one word, maybe put Susie's last initial, Susie J, in there if we had to. But when it comes to updating, it'll make it a lot easier if we use a simple naming scheme like that. So with that said, let's open up the team carousel. I'll right click, use the open file, and there we go. So we need to replace the image, the member name, and the member description. We can do that in the design view. For the link, the light box, and the 4 social icons, we'll need to do that in code view. So to start with, I will open up my About single folder right here. There's the my pictures. So I need a replacement image that is, I'll double click, go to the appearance, that's 300 by 300. So what I would do is I would take a look at I would create images of all my team members, 300 by 300, and I would go to my library folder, my components, my carousels, and my team folder right here. Now I have the images, and there we go. That's the team number 1, the picture you see right there. I would drag my replacement pictures right into this folder here. Then I can simply just double click, and I can either manually change the name of the image right here, or safer yet, hit the browse button. I'll go to the website, library, I'll go to my components, my carousels, my team folder, and images. And then I will select the 300 by 300 image like that, click OK and OK, it changes. I'm going to double click again, go to the appearance tab and remove the specify size. We don't need that and don't want that for mobility reasons, right? Then I would change, like I said, the member name and the job position right here. Now, one thing I want to note about the member name is, and let's take a look on the page, when we hover over, we're using 2 different font styles, a regular and then a bold, right, to give it a bit of a unique look. If you want to retain that font style, you would double click on each word individually, typing in the name here. I'm going to put my caps lock on, Susie, and then I'll double click on the name and type in Jones. Now, what happens is, and I'll show you in the code view for a second here, is we have an H3 tag. Okay, I had to pause that for a second because I realized it did the number one thing I didn't want it to do, and that is when I double clicked, it took too much. It took the second bit of the span tag right here. So just to be safe, scrub over just the letters, or even safer yet, double click, switch to code view, and then double click on member and change it to Susie, and then where it says name down below here, change that to Jones. So that was a bit of a flub on my part, but guess what? You just learned one of the troubleshooting tips right there. That keeps the span separate. So typically when you double click on a word, it only selects the text, but in this case, it selected the span class as well. It'll probably do the same for you. So just double click on the member name, then switch to code view, and then change the member name, the member, and then the name to your first and last name. That's if you want to retain that unique, one is light and one is bold. Right? If it doesn't matter, then you can just scrub over the whole thing and then just type in Susie Jones just like this, and then it'll all be wrapped in the same H3 tag, and then it'll come out just as a normal bit of text. Okay, so that's talking about the picture, the member name, and the job description. And now we have the light box. So when we hover over, we have the light box. It pops up like so. What we want to do when we replace our picture is select it, go to code, and copy the image name right here. Go down and find the fancy box, which is this far down here, and there's the fancy box image right there. Now when we're using these light boxes, you can of course use a different size image for the light box. Totally up to you. You could have a 300 by 300 thumb that we see in the page, and then when somebody hits a light box button, it has a much larger, bigger image. Not a problem. I would really strongly suggest you store those larger images in the team images folder for this particular component. The same with all components. They all have their own images folder. Store those images, those light box images, in the same folder as the other images. Just it keeps things organized, and you only have to change the image name here. You don't have to change the folder path, which can get messy. After you've changed the light box image, right, we look up here and then we have the thumb link, and the thumb link is this little fella right up here. This links to a page. It links to the About Single page right now, but we can't link all your team members to the same page. You want to link them to their own individual page, and that's why we started to create copies of the About Single, and in this case we created one called About Susie. Now the really cool thing about this, and the way I've named my page About-Susie instead of About-Single, is I can now just double click on the word single, type in Susie. Oops, not without, but I don't want to use my caps lock. Okay, and that's it. So that's how I can link to a different page without figuring out different paths and stuff like that. I mean, the other thing you do is you can just copy the name of your page right here, and you can scrub over here and paste it in, right? And I highly recommend that wherever you have your About page, you keep the About Susie, About Charlie, About Jack, all those pages in the same root, in the same folder, so that way you don't have to go messing about with the different slashes right here. Now, look down, and we'll see the social icons. So let's go back and we'll hover over, and Facebook, Twitter, Yelp, and Google+, you can change those to whatever you want. We have other videos on working with Font Awesome, so I'm not going to go into great detail, but I do want to demonstrate where you need to change things, and that would be the Facebook link. If you're going to keep Facebook, change the link to your Facebook account page right here, or change the icon for Facebook to a different social icon. And the same with Twitter and Yelp and Google. So remember, wherever you see the FA hyphen, name of the social icon, that is the Font Awesome icon. And you can get many different ones from the Font Awesome website, and then just change the link for that social icon right here. If you don't want the icon, get rid of the div class that wraps around it, or the A and the I class right here. All right, so where it says thumb icon 1, I would just right click, select tag, and delete the whole thing if you do not want the Facebook icon. Same goes for any other ones here. If you don't want Google+, if you only need 3, just where it says thumb icon 4, right click on that icon 4 word right there. Right click on that, do the select tag, and hit delete on your keyboard, and that's it. It's gone.